My beloved brothers and sisters, there is a silent struggle many people go through, a struggle that is not always visible to others. It is the struggle of trying too hard to make something work. Forcing conversations, forcing relationships, forcing opportunities, forcing outcomes, and in the process exhausting your heart and your soul. You hold on tightly, thinking that if you just try a little harder, push a little more, control a little better, things will finally fall into place. But instead, you feel drained. You feel anxious. You feel unsettled. Let me remind you of something powerful. What is meant for you will never require you to force it. Yes, effort is important. Hard work is necessary. But there is a difference between putting in effort and forcing something that clearly isn't flowing. When something is right for you, Allah opens doors in ways you cannot imagine. There is ease in it. There is barakah in it, even if there are challenges. There is a sense of peace within your heart that tells you, this is right. But when you are forcing something, everything feels heavy. You overthink. You overanalyze. You constantly worry. You try to fix things that keep breaking. And deep down, there is a quiet voice telling you, this is not working. Yet you ignore that voice because you are attached. Because you have invested time, emotions, and energy. Because you are afraid to let go. But understand this. Forcing something that is not meant for you will only distance you from what is truly meant for you. Sometimes you are holding on to something so tightly that you are blocking your own blessings. You are so focused on one door that you fail to see the many others that are waiting to be opened. Letting go does not mean you are weak. Letting go does not mean you have failed. Letting go means you trust Allah enough to say, if this is not good for me, remove it from my life and replace it with something better. And that is a powerful position to be in. My brothers and sisters, not everything that you desire is written for you. And not everything that is written for you will come in the way you expect. That is why surrender is so important. You do your part. You make effort. You make dua. You strive. But you leave the outcome to Allah. There is a beautiful peace in that. When you stop forcing, you start flowing with what is meant for you. You begin to notice the difference between struggle that builds you and struggle that breaks you. One brings you closer to peace. The other takes it away. And your heart knows the difference. Even if you try to ignore it, trust that feeling. If something constantly disturbs your peace, requires you to chase endlessly, and leaves you feeling empty, then perhaps it is not meant to stay in your life. And if something is written for you, it will come to you, even if the entire world stands against it. So release the need to control everything. Release the fear of missing out. Release the attachment to outcomes you cannot guarantee. Instead, hold on to your faith. Hold on to your trust. Hold on to the belief that what Allah has written for you is far better than anything you could force for yourself. And remember, sometimes the greatest blessing is not in getting what you want, but in being protected from what you thought you needed. So don't force it. If it is meant to be, it will be. With ease, with peace, and with barakah. There is a deep sense of relief that comes when you truly understand that what is meant for you will never require you to force it. Many people spend a large part of their lives chasing things that were never written for them, believing that if they just try harder, push more, or refuse to give up, they will eventually make it work. But this constant pushing often leads to exhaustion, frustration, and a heavy heart. When something is genuinely meant for you, There is a natural flow to it. This does not mean that it will come without effort or that there will be no challenges along the way. Effort is always part of the journey. However, the difference lies in how that effort feels. When something is right for you, your effort feels purposeful, not draining. Even during difficult moments, there is a sense of calm within you, a quiet reassurance that things are unfolding as they should. On the other hand, when you are forcing something that is not meant for you, everything begins to feel like a struggle. You constantly feel the need to chase, to fix, to convince, or to hold things together. Instead of moving forward naturally, you feel like you are dragging the situation along. This is often accompanied by overthinking, anxiety, and a lack of peace. Deep down, your heart senses that something is not right, but your attachment keeps you holding on. It is important to recognize that forcing something does not change what is written for you. No matter how much effort you put into something that is not meant to be part of your life, it will either not work out or it will come with a cost that drains your peace and well-being. In contrast, what is truly yours will find its way to you, even if the path is not immediate or obvious. This understanding shifts your perspective. Instead of trying to control every outcome, you begin to focus on doing your part sincerely, while trusting that the results will come in the way they are meant to. You learn to differentiate between healthy effort and harmful force. Healthy effort is consistent, balanced, and guided by a sense of purpose. Harmful force, however, feels desperate, overwhelming, and often leaves you feeling unsettled. Letting go of the need to force things does not mean becoming passive or giving up on your goals. It means approaching your goals with trust and patience. You continue to strive, but you do not allow yourself to become consumed by the outcome. You understand that if something is truly meant for you, it will come with ease in ways you may not even expect. There is also a sense of freedom in this mindset. When you stop forcing, you release yourself from unnecessary pressure. You no longer feel the need to control every detail or worry about every possibility. Instead, you move through life with a sense of trust, knowing that what is written for you will reach you at the right time. In the end, accepting that what is meant for you will not require force allows you to live with greater peace and clarity. You stop chasing what is not yours and become more open to what truly belongs in your life. And in that openness, you begin to experience a sense of ease that cannot be achieved through force alone. There is an important distinction that many people fail to recognize, and that is the difference between effort and force. On the surface, they may seem similar because both involve action, persistence, and a desire to achieve something. But in reality, they come from two very different places and lead to very different outcomes. Effort is something that is natural and balanced. It is the act of doing your part with sincerity, discipline, and consistency. When you put in effort, you are working toward a goal while still maintaining your sense of peace and stability. You understand that you have a responsibility to try to improve and to take the necessary steps forward. But at the same time, you are aware that the final outcome is not entirely in your control. Force, on the other hand, comes from a place of urgency, fear, and attachment. It is when you go beyond healthy effort and begin to push things unnaturally. You try to control every detail. You overextend yourself and you ignore the signs that something may not be right. Instead of allowing things to unfold, you attempt to make them happen at any cost. When you are operating with effort, there is a sense of balance. in your life. You work hard, but you also know when to step back. You strive for your goals, but you do not let them consume you. There is a level of trust that allows you to remain calm even when things are uncertain. You accept that some delays and challenges are part of the journey and you handle them with patience. However, when you begin to force things, that balance is lost. Your thoughts become restless and your actions become driven by pressure rather than purpose. You may find yourself constantly thinking about the situation, trying to find ways to fix it or speed it up. This creates mental and emotional exhaustion, as you are no longer just working towards something, you are struggling against it. Another key difference is how each one affects your inner peace. Effort, even when it is challenging, often brings a sense of fulfillment. You feel that you are doing what you can, and that gives you a sense of stability. Force, however, takes away your peace. It leaves you feeling anxious, frustrated, and sometimes even helpless. It is also important to understand that effort is always rewarded, even if not in the way you expect. When you put in sincere effort, you grow as a person. You develop discipline, patience, and resilience. These qualities stay with you and benefit you in every area of your life. Force, however, often leads to disappointment because it is focused on controlling key outcomes rather than embracing growth. Learning to recognize when you have crossed from effort into force is essential. If something is constantly draining you, disturbing your peace, and requiring you to push beyond what feels natural, it may be a sign that you are forcing it. In such moments, it is important to pause, reflect, and realign yourself. You are meant to strive, not to struggle endlessly. You are meant to work hard, but not at the cost of your well-being. When you understand this balance, you begin to approach life with greater wisdom. You give your best effort, but you let go of the need to force results. And in doing so, you allow things to unfold in a way that brings not only success, but also peace. Letting go is often misunderstood. Many people associate it with weakness, failure, or giving up. They believe that if they release something they have been holding on to, it means they didn't try hard enough or that they have somehow lost. But in reality, letting go is not a sign of defeat. It is a sign of strength, awareness, and deep trust. There are moments in life when you hold on to something so tightly because you believe it is right for you. It could be a relationship, an opportunity, a plan, or even an expectation you have built in your mind. You invest your time, your energy, and your emotions into it. And because of that investment, it becomes even harder to release, even when it starts to take away your peace. The difficulty of letting go comes from attachment. You become attached not only to the thing itself, but also to the idea of how it was supposed to turn out. You imagine a certain outcome, a certain future, and you begin to believe that this is the only way things can be right for you. So when reality doesn't match that expectation, you resist. You try harder, you hold on tighter, and you convince yourself that you just need to push through. But there is a point where holding on stops being beneficial. It begins to drain you emotionally and mentally. You feel the weight of it in your thoughts, in your heart, and even in your daily life. This is where letting go becomes necessary, not because you are giving up, but because you are choosing peace over struggle. Letting go requires trust. It requires you to believe that what is meant for you will not pass you by, and what passes you by was never meant for you. This belief is not easy to develop, especially when you are in the middle of uncertainty. But it is this very trust that allows you to release control and move forward without fear. When you let go, you are not losing something. You are making space. You are allowing new opportunities, better outcomes, and more suitable paths to enter your life. Holding on to something that is not right for you can block what truly belongs to you. By releasing it, you open the door for something that aligns better with your purpose and well-being. There is also a sense of peace that comes with letting go. The constant overthinking begins to fade. The emotional burden becomes lighter. You no longer feel like you are forcing something to work. Instead, you begin to experience a sense of acceptance. You understand that not everything is within your control, and that is okay. It is important to remember that letting go does not erase the effort you made. It does not mean that your time was wasted. Every experience, even the ones that don't work out, teaches you something valuable. They shape your understanding, strengthen your resilience, and prepare you for what lies ahead. Over time, you begin to see that letting go was not the end. It was a turning point. It was the moment you chose to trust rather than force, to accept rather than resist, and to move forward rather than remain stuck. In the end, letting go is an act of faith. It is the quiet confidence that whatever is meant for you will come, and it will come in a way that does not require you to lose yourself in the process. One of the most powerful indicators that something is right for you is the sense of peace it brings into your life. This peace does not mean that everything will be perfect or free of challenges, but it reflects a deeper feeling of alignment within your heart. It is a calmness that remains even when things are uncertain, a quiet reassurance that you are on the right path. Many people overlook this sign because they become too focused on external outcomes. They chase what looks good on the surface: success, attention, approval, or comfort, without paying attention to how it actually makes them feel internally. As a result, they may find themselves in situations that appear ideal, but leave them feeling anxious, restless, or emotionally drained. Peace works differently. It is subtle but powerful. When something is meant for you, there is a natural ease in how it unfolds. Even if there are obstacles along the way, you do not feel like you are constantly struggling against the situation. Instead, there is a sense that things are moving in a direction that makes sense, even if you cannot fully explain it. On the other hand, when something is not right for you, it often disturbs your peace. You may find yourself overthinking, questioning every step, and feeling uneasy most of the time. There is a constant tension that does not go away, no matter how much you try to fix things. This is your inner self signaling that something is off. It is important to learn how to recognize and trust this feeling. Your mind may try to justify a situation by focusing on logic or external benefits, but your heart often senses the truth much earlier. Ignoring that feeling can lead you deeper into situations that are not good for you, making it harder to step away later. Peace is not something you can force or create artificially. It comes naturally when you are aligned with what is right for you. This is why forcing something often leads to the opposite effect. The more you push, the more restless you become. The more you try to control, the more unsettled you feel. True peace cannot exist in a state of constant struggle. Another important aspect of peace is that it brings clarity. When your mind is calm, you are able to think more clearly and make better decisions. You are not driven by fear desperation, or pressure. Instead, you approach situations with a balanced perspective, allowing you to see things as they truly are. Choosing peace sometimes requires difficult decisions. It may mean walking away from something you once wanted or letting go of a situation that no longer serves you. These decisions are not easy, but they are necessary for your well-being. In the long run, protecting your peace will always be more valuable than holding on to something that disturbs it. Over time, as you begin to prioritize peace, you will notice a shift in your life. You will become more selective about what you allow into your space. You will no longer feel the need to chase things that do not align with your values or your well-being. Instead, you will move toward what feels right, even if it takes longer or looks different from what you expected. In the end, peace is not just a feeling, it is a guide. It directs you toward what is beneficial for you and away from what is not. When you learn to follow it, you begin to live with greater clarity, balance, and contentment, knowing that you are choosing what truly aligns with your heart. There are times when you become so focused on making one particular thing work that you don't realize what it is costing you, your energy, your time, your peace. Say of mind, all of it begins to revolve around that one goal, that one outcome, or that one situation. You convince yourself that this is what you need, that this is what will bring you happiness. And so you hold on to it tightly, unwilling to let go. But what often goes unnoticed is that by forcing this one path, you may be unintentionally closing yourself off from many other opportunities. Life is full of possibilities, but when your focus becomes narrow and fixed, you stop seeing what else is available to you. You become so attached to one door that you ignore the others that may be opening quietly around you. Forcing something creates a kind of tunnel vision. You start to believe that there is only one way for things to work out, and anything outside of that feels like failure. This mindset can be limiting because it does not allow room for alternatives that may actually be better suited for you. Sometimes what you are chasing is not wrong, but it may not be the best option for your growth, your well-being, or your future. When you hold on too tightly, you also create unnecessary pressure. You begin to feel like everything depends on that one outcome. If it works, you feel relief. If it doesn't, you feel like everything has fallen apart. This kind of thinking can be emotionally exhausting because it places too much importance on something that may not be within your control. Letting go, even slightly, can shift your perspective. It allows you to step back and see the bigger picture. You begin to realize that there are other paths, other opportunities, and other possibilities that you may not have considered before. Some of these may align with you better and bring you more peace and fulfillment than what you were originally chasing. It is also important to understand that not every opportunity is meant to stay in your life. Some are there to teach you something, to guide you, or to redirect you. When you try to force them to remain, you interfere with that process. You hold on to something that has already served its purpose, preventing yourself from moving forward. There is a certain freedom that comes with releasing the need to control everything. When you stop forcing, you allow life to unfold more naturally. You become more open to change, more adaptable, and more aware of the opportunities around you. Instead of chasing one outcome, you begin to trust that what is meant for you will come in the right way. This does not mean that you stop working toward your goals. It means that you approach them with a sense of flexibility. You remain open to different paths and outcomes, understanding that the journey may not look exactly the way you imagined. Over time, you begin to see that some of the best things in your life came unexpectedly. They were not the result of force, but of openness and trust. They appeared when you allowed yourself to move forward without being tied to a single expectation. In the end, forcing something can limit your vision and block opportunities that may be far better for you. But when you release that force and allow space for new possibilities, you open yourself up to outcomes that you may not have planned, but that could bring you greater peace, growth, and fulfillment. There is a natural desire within every person to feel in control of their life. You want things to go according to your plans, your timelines, and your expectations. You think about what you want, you set goals, and you try to arrange everything in a way that leads you exactly where you hope to go. But the reality is, no matter how much you plan, you cannot control everything. Trying to control every outcome often leads to stress and disappointment. You begin to attach yourself not only to your efforts, but also to the result. Yes, when things do not go as expected, it creates frustration and confusion. You start questioning why your plans are not working, even though you have done everything you thought was right. The problem is not in planning or striving. Both are important. The problem begins when you rely entirely on your own control and forget that there are factors beyond your understanding. There is a greater plan at work, one that takes into account things you cannot see, predict, or comprehend. When you try to override that with your own limited perspective, you create unnecessary tension in your life. Releasing control does not mean becoming careless or passive. It means understanding your role clearly. Your role is to make an effort, to act responsibly, and to pursue what is good with sincerity. But once you have done your part, you must learn to let go of the outcome. This is where trust comes in. Trust allows you to accept that not everything will go according to your plan. And that is not always a bad thing. In fact, some of the greatest blessings come from situations that did not unfold the way you expected. When you let go of control, you make room for outcomes that may be better than what you originally had in mind. Holding on to control can also create fear. The fear of things not working out, the fear of losing something, or the fear of uncertainty. This fear can make you act in ways that are driven by anxiety rather than clarity. You may try to force situations, hold on to things that are not right for you, or resist changes that are actually beneficial. When you release that need for control, a sense of calm begins to replace that fear. You start to understand that uncertainty is a part of life, and it does not always mean something negative. It simply means that things are unfolding in a way you cannot yet see. There is also a sense of freedom in letting go. You no longer feel the constant pressure to make everything perfect. You allow yourself to move forward without being burdened by the need to control every detail. This freedom allows you to experience life more fully without being weighed down by constant worry. Over time, you begin to notice that things fall into place in unexpected ways. Opportunities come when you least expect them. Solutions appear when you thought there was none. These moments remind you that there is a wisdom beyond your own planning. In the end, trusting beyond your control is not about giving up. It is about understanding that your effort and your faith go hand in hand. Do what you can, and you trust that the rest will be handled in the best possible way. And when you truly embrace this mindset, you begin to live with a sense of peace that cannot be achieved through control alone.